World War II wasn't won by perfect men. It was won by Americans who carried chaos on their shoulders and still knew exactly when to unleash it. August 1943, Sicily, a hospital tent. General George S. Patton walks past rows of wounded soldiers, Purple Hearts, shattered limbs, men who have just survived hell. Then he stops at one bed, a private, no visible wounds, trembling. And Patton loses it. Patton's hand comes down hard. His voice follows even harder. The words cut through the tent like shrapnel. Coward. Malingerer. A threat spoken in anger and conviction. To Patton, a soldier who could walk but refused to fight represented something intolerable in the middle of a brutal campaign. To the men watching from nearby cots, it was a moment of shock, confusion, and discomfort. Within hours, the incident spread through the hospital. Within days, reports moved up the chain of command. Within weeks, the story reached Washington. Back in Washington, Army Chief of Staff George C. Marshall reads the report. He doesn't flinch, doesn't rage. He just thinks, one decision, fire Patton and lose the war's fastest general, or keep him and risk everything else. This was never just about a slap. It was about the kind of war America was fighting and the kind of men required to win it. It was about two Americans who represented opposite philosophies of command and a choice that would quietly shape the outcome of the war in Europe. Let's be clear about something from the start. George Marshall didn't just dislike Patton, he distrusted him. Marshall was the calm center of the American war effort, disciplined, controlled, relentlessly focused on the long game. He oversaw the transformation of the United States Army from a small, underprepared force into a global military machine capable of fighting on multiple continents at once. He managed alliances, political pressure, public opinion, and the expectations of a nation sending millions of its sons into battle. Marshall understood that modern war wasn't just about battlefield brilliance. It was about stability, about credibility, about ensuring the military never became a liability to the cause it was meant to defend. Patton challenged all of that. In that context, Patton wasn't just a general. He was a loaded gun pointed in every direction at once. Patton spoke openly about loving battle. He believed war stripped men to their essence and revealed who they truly were. He dressed immaculately, wore ivory-handled pistols, and talked to reporters with a bluntness that bordered on reckless. The public was fascinated by him. Allies were uneasy. Marshall watched him carefully. Yet Marshall was not blind to results. In North Africa, after American forces were humiliated and shaken, it was Patton who took command and imposed immediate, unforgiving discipline. Standards were enforced without exception. Complacency vanished. Within weeks, broken units regained confidence and fought with renewed aggression. The turnaround was undeniable. Then came Sicily. Patton's 7th Army did not creep forward. It surged. While others hesitated, Patton attacked. His forces moved faster than enemy commanders could react, and faster than Allied planners expected. Cities fell in rapid succession. Enemy formations collapsed under relentless pressure. Momentum became Patton's weapon. Marshall noticed the pattern. Patton didn't just win engagements. He shattered enemies by denying them time to recover. But everywhere Patton went, controversy followed close behind. Then came the slapping incidents. 2 of them. August 3rd and August 10th, 1943. 2 hospitals. 2 soldiers. 2 moments that exploded into scandal, once journalists uncovered what the Army had tried to keep quiet. Eisenhower reprimanded Patton privately and forced public apologies. But when the story broke at home, outrage followed. Editorial pages erupted. Politicians demanded accountability. Calls for Patton's removal grew louder by the day. The decision landed squarely on George Marshall's desk. Marshall did not react emotionally. He calculated. Marshall didn't keep Patton because he liked him. He kept him because he'd done the math. Marshall understood something deeply uncomfortable. Patton possessed a rare operational instinct. He sensed the exact moment an enemy lost balance and struck before recovery was possible. Where other commanders waited for certainty, Patton acted decisively in uncertainty. That instinct could not be taught, trained, or easily replaced. But Marshall also understood the cost. Patton was not safe politically. He was not careful with words. He could undermine alliances and embarrass the institution Marshall had spent years building. So Marshall chose control instead of removal. Patton was sidelined, quietly removed from frontline command after Sicily. As preparations began for the most important invasion of the war, Patton watched from England. Others planned Normandy. Others received attention. Patton waited, furious and restrained, and then Marshall used him. So Patton, the man who lived for combat, spent the most important months of the war playing a decoy. Operation Fortitude was deception on a massive scale. Fake armies, inflatable tanks, fabricated radio traffic. And at the center of it all stood the one American general enemy intelligence feared most: Patton. They believed he would lead the real invasion. They waited for him. They held divisions back, expecting his blow. The deception worked. Patton helped secure the success of the invasion without firing a shot. Marshall kept him leashed but preserved. After D-Day, Allied forces landed successfully, but the advance stalled. Normandy became a brutal maze of hedgerows and kill zones. Casualties mounted. Progress slowed to yards. The war threatened to turn into the very kind of attritional grind Marshall feared. Marshall saw the danger. He made the call. August 1st, 1944. Patton finally gets a command. Third Army. The leash came off. Patton did not ease into action. He exploded when Operation Cobra cracked the German line. Patton poured through the opening with unmatched speed. His units advanced so fast that maps became obsolete almost overnight. Towns fell before defenders realized they were under attack. Supply officers panicked. Fuel shortages became constant. Patton improvised relentlessly, redirecting resources, seizing opportunities, refusing to slow down. His forces advanced 20, 30, sometimes 40 miles a day. Enemy commanders could not form coherent defenses because Patton never allowed them time. This was exactly the war Marshall had saved Patton for. Even then, restraint remained. Patton's ambitions were checked, his political instincts curbed. Marshall understood the balance. Let Patton win battles. Do not let him steer the peace. Then came December 1944, the Ardennes. Enemy forces launched a massive surprise offensive, smashing through American lines. Entire units were cut off. Bastogne was surrounded. Panic spread through command. At an emergency conference, commanders argued relief would take at least a week. Patton stands up, says he can do it in 48 hours. Silence followed. Patton had already issued orders. Third Army pivoted 90 degrees in the dead of winter. Roads iced over. Snow buried vehicles. Logistics collapsed. Patton moved anyway. 3 days later, his forces smashed into the enemy flank and broke through to Bastogne. The offensive collapsed soon after. That was the moment Marshall's gamble paid off completely. Patton was not just useful when plans worked, he was essential when everything went wrong. Sometimes the most dangerous general to have on your side is exactly the one you need. Marshall never trusted Patton outside the battlefield. Even after victory, he kept him restrained. When Patton spoke recklessly about politics or future wars, Marshall shut it down. The war had to be won, and then it had to end. Patton died in December 1945 after a car accident in occupied Germany. Marshall outlived him. By 14 years and later helped rebuild Europe through the Marshall Plan. 2 Americans, 2 philosophies. 1 built systems, 1 broke enemies. The builder knew exactly when to unleash the destroyer. That decision, cold and calculated, helped win the war in Europe.